In what seemed like the NBA offseason was gonna have a peaceful August, James Harden just shook the whole basketball community, dropped devastating statements on GM Daryl Morey, the most frustrated, unhappy superstar last 3 years.
Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of again. Thank you, man.
The Beard will be looking for a fourth new team in just 4 seasons, still ringless, from the hilarious fat suit to slimming down all of a sudden, underachieving time and time again. It's only going to be a matter of time. Harden will look at himself in the mirror, take accountability for the absolute terrible playoff performances. Can't blame anybody but himself. The soon-to-be 34-year-old will never get another max contract. From joining an all-time Big Three, Brooklyn's team supposed to be the next dynasty, to clashing egos, politics, injuries, and drama, super impatient, forcing his way out, only for back-to-back embarrassing second-round exits to follow, from many even daring to mention his name with Jordan under the same breath in terms of scoring. Fuck out of here with that shit. His last 2 games versus Boston scored less than any one of MJ's worst postseason outings. From also being in Dwayne Wade comparisons, Harden's legacy will leave a huge stain if he retires with 0 rings. But he's not the only disrespectful star player to force his way out that underachieved. 10 other disgruntled guys lost their reputation after underperforming with new teams, never looked at the same again. Starting with Sidney Wicks of the Portland Trail Blazers, former second pick out of UCLA, a college phenom, one of the most problematic players, the definition of big empty stats, 10 total seasons in the league. His numbers literally decline bit by bit every year. His UCLA titles didn't translate to winning in the pros. An awful career 305 and 455 record, the biggest definition of a talented player posting empty stats, from 18 wins to 21, 24, 38 and 36, 5 seasons with the Blazers. From not getting along with Bill Walton, trade originally shifted him to New Orleans but refused to sign, voided the deal, didn't want to play with a guy named Pete Maravich, viewed a superstar at the time. Even Boston's Red Auerbach couldn't pass up on the potential opportunity. The defending champs, adding star power to the aging John Havlicek and Dave Cowens, Charlie Scott and JoJo White, reunited Wicks with college teammate Curtis Rowe, entered the dark age of the Celtics. A month after Wicks suited up, teammate Cowens quit suddenly, returned after 2 months. Team ended season 44 wins, 2 total winning seasons for Wicks' disappointing career. Portland, on the other hand, dominated out west, went on to win the title, beat the Sixers, the team Wicks' Celtics lost to. From thinking he'd get an easy ring with defending champs to his former team, from never making the postseason to winning it all without him right after he left. How ironic. His reputation took a massive hit, negative articles written, blamed the Boston media for his struggles. The C's fell to 32-50 following season. Auerbach traded him to the Clippers after 3 non-impactful years. Wicks finished his career in 9 total playoff games, super forgotten, one of the strangest NBA careers all time. Stephon Marbury of the Timberwolves, supposed to be one of the next best future point guards, taken 4th in the loaded 96 draft right before Ray Allen. Already having young all-star Kevin Garnett, a solid duo, made the playoffs his first 2 years with Minnie, but having an ego of his own, with Garnett signing the richest contract at the time, 6 years, 126, many felt Marbury wanted to be the team's bigger star. Wanting to go to a bigger market, have better endorsement deals, ultimately wanted his own team, didn't want to take a back seat. Having all the skills to become a superstar, quickness, shiftiness to the basket, a killer crossover with elite passing, finally got his wish, traded to the Nets, a 66 and 106 record. Good numbers, terrible team. Franchise gamble trading him away for Phoenix Jason Kidd, which led to a 26-game improvement, first place, even a finals appearance. While Phoenix fell from 51 wins to just 36, made the 8th seed in 2003, but team last place in their division, averaged 21 a game but traded for role players, sent to the Knicks, made the playoffs only to get swept by his former team. All of a sudden, Phoenix signed Steve Nash months after getting rid of Marbury, became a number 1 seed, turned the franchise around. While Steph continued to feud with multiple head coaches, another absolute travesty of a 10-year, 113 and 174 Knicks record, hometown kid found himself benched while getting max money, waived, picked up by defending champion Celtics. Reunited with former teammate Garnett, Marbury found himself out the league by 32 just like that before becoming a legend in China, a negative NBA reputation as a chemistry killer, ridiculed for Team USA's failures in 2004. Starbury had all the talent to become a Hall of Famer, but never getting past the first round, just 4 playoffs before Boston. An absolute travesty. Vince Carter, a fan favorite and beloved in the 2000s, his career left a lot to be desired, once upon a time idolized just as much as Iverson and Kobe. A trade swap to land in Toronto drew comparisons to another Tar Heel legend, the high-flying style and accelerating start with the nastiest dunks you'll see made basketball in Canada relevant. Between 2000 to 2002, Vince actually averaged more points per game those 3 years than Kobe. Watching his highlights, one might think he's an all-time great, but there's a reason the 22-year pro wasn't a top 75er. 8 All-Stars from 2000 to 07, little did anyone knew his last postseason with Toronto turned out to be Game 7 of the 01 semis. The missed potential game winner left himself open for heavy criticism. Flew out on a private jet to Philly, a day which supposed to be the biggest game of his career, devastating 1-point loss, shot 6 of 18. Deciding to go to his college graduation that same day, signed 6 years, $94 million. Had knee injuries following season, bashed for questionable leadership, didn't show up for some of his Raptor playoff games in Detroit due to knee swelling, but others called him out, known for going out of his way to other places he considered more important. Suffered a quad injury, 3rd game of the 03 season, missed most of November, but seen getting on stage dancing with Nelly when his team had a game in Atlanta. More injuries to come, accused of running from the grind, continued to get hurt. Toronto fell to the lotto, landing Chris Bosh. Hostility and tensions began to grow. His fame and reputation already fell off, booed by fans. Carter did admit he didn't want to dunk anymore.
I don't want to dunk anymore. Dunking's overrated.
Hurt the Raptors' trade value so bad by being hurt all the time, team had no choice but to get pennies on the dollar. An old Alonzo Mourning who refused to play for them, and a couple others. In an interview after traded to the Nets, this statement infuriated Raptors fans.
Do you think Vince Carter has pushed himself as hard as he should have pushed himself?
In years past, no. I was just fortunate enough to have the talent and be able to, you get spoiled when you're able to do a lot of things and you see that and you really don't have to work at it. But now I think with all the injuries and the things that's going on, I have to work a little harder.
Vince played much better in Jersey, made the playoffs but never passed round 2, won conference finals appearance with 2010 Orlando, outplayed by Pierce. VC didn't rise to the occasion in big moments, despite very capable of hitting clutch shots, but never locked in enough, didn't have the drive to be a true number 1 on a contender, gained back positive impressions after fully accepting his role player status second half of his career, but from the Nets making 2 finals with Kenyon Martin, none with Carter, Orlando making the finals with Turkoglu, to Vince getting benched in the conference finals. Then out of Disney the following year, Carter simply lacked the killer instinct against the great teams. Carmelo Anthony, after an excellent rookie season, many still believe should have won Rookie of the Year over LeBron, from a 17-win team to 43, deemed the future of the league, but Melo's lack of motivation to expand his game and being an all-around player raised heavy backlash. A one-dimensional elite scorer, bad habits, 5 straight first-round exits, first 5 years in the league until the arrival of Chauncey Billups, made conference finals. Unfortunately, 2010, Coach George Karl battled cancer, team fell apart in the playoffs. About to be a free agent summer 2011, Anthony demanded out, didn't want to wait the rest of the season. After seeing his draft mates team up in Miami, Denver still would have made the playoffs had he stayed the rest of the way. New York giving up half their team sabotaged their future. Coach Karl, super strong, criticizing former players, said Melo looked more interested to score even if that means losing games. New York being the mecca of basketball, every year considered championship or bust with Melo, swept round 1 to Boston, couldn't mesh with Amari. Reports about being jealous of Linsanity's success, seeing the team win when he sat out, ran Mike D'Antoni out of town, only great New York season under Mike Woodson. All the old guys broke down by the playoffs, with Melo's continuous lack of effort on D called out. The Phil Jackson era, the lowest point in Knicks history. Anthony's impatient and ego forced his way out too soon. After Amari's body broke down, teams struggled finding solid pieces and a good point guard to surround Melo. Chose money in 2014 to remain in New York, wasted another couple seasons, joined OKC too late, a brutal one-year tenure, out the league for a year after Houston rented him for 10 games, included in the Melo Knick trade, a 2016 first-round pick swap, giving the Nuggets Jamal Murray. 11 years later, Melo announced retirement. The Nuggets franchise won his first championship weeks later. Deron Williams, once upon a time in discussion as best point guard, former dirt pick, 5.5 seasons in Utah, 4 postseasons, had solid players Carlos Boozer, Mehmet Okur, Andre Kirilenko, the longtime legendary Jerry Sloan, been head coach of the franchise since 1988. Sloan tough-minded, demanded respect from all players, tough on D. Will, who came off the bench many of his rookie games, but found immediate success, conference finals trip year 2, franchise being shockingly good so quickly also meant higher expectations the following seasons, but couldn't get past Kobe and the Lakers. More tensions flared. 2011 season, Boozer left for free agency. Refusing to listen to coach's plays, Sloan infuriated with his point guard, D. Will thinking he knew better than coach, made players confused on who they should listen to. Sloan then shocked the entire NBA by quitting after 23 years coaching the team, but D. Will said he was willing to be the one getting traded if management was to keep Sloan. 2 months left in the season, a nasty breakup. 2 weeks after Sloan quit, Williams traded to the Nets. Jazz fans irate Sloan never coached in the NBA again. Heavy expectations for the so-called superstar point guard, underperformed in Jersey, didn't like Avery Johnson's style, labeled a coach killer, a different offense, no more pick and roll style. Failed to adjust to different systems, his ankle shot after carrying the heavy load, team moved to Brooklyn, heavily underachieved, couldn't handle the New York media pressure, lost hunger for the game, KG and Pierce disappointed in the lack of leadership. After signing the max, absolutely lost his motivation for the game, got waived, a shell of himself, an absolute travesty of an ending to a supposedly promising career, but did apologize and made up with Coach Sloan for the Utah drama. Dwight Howard of the Orlando Magic. It was head coach Stan Van Gundy's system, allowing Dwight to play his best, surrounding him with shooters, an unexpected trip to the finals, but after harsh criticism on his lack of post games, being too playful, joking around, questions about the goofy attitude, the Magic organization deserves heavy blame. Panic moves, trading Carter, Petrus, got back washed up Hedo Turkoglu, traded Rashad Lewis for a past his prime Gilbert Arenas. Howard not being honest with the team, saying he will come back despite not signing the extension, kept saying he wanted to remain in Orlando, forced himself, played through a severe back injury so people didn't think he's a quitter, absolutely destroyed his prime days, playing mind games, even set to go to the Nets, an even worse team. The awkward interview with Stan Van Gundy when asked about his superstar wanting him fired.
Man, how do you know it's true?
I was told it was true by people in our management.
Howard walks by and acts friendly.
Be a management decision. They have to make the decision, but I ain't worried about that. So.
Yeah, Stan, we're not worried about that, right?
That's what I just said. We got to be worried about winning games.
Yeah, what's our main concern right now? Jameer.
We have to stop Carmelo Anthony and the New York Knicks tonight.
And the New York Knicks.
That's exactly
That's
right.
the plan, right?
That is the plan. That's what I just said.
Is Dave Ping here today? The guy who started this BS?
I don't see him here.
Me neither.
Are you guys done with me?
Yeah.
Let's all
You can talk to him now.
All right.
Team eventually fired Stan, got a new GM, new coach. Howard still demanded out, went to the Lakers, changed his reputation forever, poor attitude, didn't want to run pick and roll, from top 5 player to journeyman. There's a reason no team wants him after 2022, and it's not because of his talents. Josh Smith, off the charts athleticism, straight out of high school, looked like he would be a defensive monster for years, one of the best players to not make the All-Star team, a strong starting power forward, 6 playoffs at the ATL, one of the biggest falls from grace, remember super poorly, from rising young star to massive chucker, the rise of analytics destroyed his career, continued to lack fundamentals, all athleticism, poor body language, too undersized to be a big, too terrible of a shooter to play the perimeter, never improved on the jumper, didn't like how Atlanta didn't do enough to promote him for selection to All-Star. One of the main reasons he wanted out, the Hawks hesitated to sign him for big money. Didn't get along with Coach Mike Woodson, his poor attitude, continued taking bad shots, became a detriment to the team. Then signed with Detroit, 4 years $54 million, one of the worst contracts all time, the worst pair of teammates imaginable, Greg Monroe and Andre Drummond, impossible to social distance in the paint. Play small forward, truly exposed. Detroit waived him with 3 years left on his deal. Despite the athletic gifts, Smith never became the best player on his team. The bad habits caught up to him, too late to develop a jump shot. His bricks and air balls sucked the energy out of his teams. Transitioned to the worst era imaginable, bounced around several teams, out the league by 31. A head case, continuing to show off his weak areas. The stubbornness destroyed his career. Eric Bledsoe, undersized at 6'1", more of a finishing point guard. High athleticism, 18th pick 2010 draft, slow career start, backed up CP3 for the Clippers, became worth too much to retain, needed his own team, good enough to be a starter, solid numbers with Phoenix, strong defender. Suns gave him 5 years $70 after a strong 2014 campaign, a 17 to 21 point score, stuck on the struggling dysfunctional Suns. Regular season opener 2017, lost by 48 points, 3 days later 42-point blowout. Bledsoe famously tweeted, "I don't want to be here." Coach R. Watson fired that day. The 27-year-old supposed to be traded during the summer. Thanks to the power of social media, Bledsoe made his voices heard. Phoenix had to settle for Greg Monroe in 2 seconds. Became the starting point guard on a rising Bucks team. A chance to prove himself in the playoffs, being the third to fourth option, but became an absolute travesty. Couldn't shoot, failed to make adjustments, got destroyed, abused, annihilated, and humiliated by Terry Rozier. First team all defense 2019, destroyed by Toronto, drew bodies at Giannis, only to make Milwaukee's bled bricks. 29% from the field, disgusting 5 for 29 from 3, bad decision making, showed his true colors against contending teams, destroyed by Goran Dragic's 2020 bubble, a disgusting 33% from the field, 3 of 14 from 3, to a team they were massive favorites. From borderline all-star to unplayable in big games. Should have saved his famous tweet for the postseason. Undersized, can't shoot, not a playmaker, traded for the better Drew Holiday, problem solved. Didn't mesh with Lonzo in New Orleans, not much for Clippers, even tanking Portland didn't want him, fit in perfectly with this meme dominating overseas. Of course, Kyrie Irving, unpredictable attitude, always ongoing problems, wanted his own team after demanding out of Cleveland, looked upon a leader, absolutely became a team killer despite the majestic skills, complicated to deal with, mixed statements. The young guys don't know what it takes to be a championship team, from saying he'll remain with Boston as long as the fans have his back, only to backtrack, losing games, sucking the energy out of his teammates. Boston better win percentage without him. Chucked his way out the Milwaukee series, signed with Brooklyn, only more drama, unexplicitly missing games for personal reasons, unreliable, demanded out, remains in Dallas, from super marketable to lovable, now absolutely one of the most despised and disliked players until further notice. Ben Simmons, an absolute head case, having all the talent in the world, supposed to be a top 5 player by now, born hitting the genetic lottery, athletically skilled and talented at the game without needing any work ethic, supposed to be the next big thing, only to get a warning 2018 playoffs versus Boston, desperately needed a jump shot, refused to listen, Jimmy Butler won it out after half a season, constant back injuries, acts entitled, truly exposed 2021 postseason, especially the Hawks series, couldn't handle a lick of criticism, cared more about getting his money back from fines than improving his game, became unplayable in Brooklyn, literally been hiding since getting paid, constant bad habits, failed to address, will only get him out the league sooner, still young enough to get better, shows no accountability. At this point, nobody will ever view him as a superstar. Simmons will never live up to his full potential. Damage already been done. If you don't truly love the game, you can't continue faking that. It's either he has it or he doesn't, and Ben Simmons absolutely doesn't. Already lost most of his credibility, lost respect from 99% of the league. With James Harden likely to be next on this list, with the exception to him, Kyrie, and Ben Simmons' career not over yet, a minimal chance their attitudes change. Give a little credit to Dwight Howard, able to help 2020 Lakers win a title, but there's a reason why a bunch of these guys left off the top 75 list. The early decisions have heavy consequences if the star underperforms with new teams after aggressively demanding out. most likely would have had better careers if they stuck with their old teams. Which one of these stars hurt their legacy most given their actions with their former teams? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.